most dangerous of all sea monsters.
As we all know, Steam has a full refund policy that warrants any purchase on their platform to be viable for a full refund. This policy goes as follows. Valve will, upon request, issue a refund for any title that is requested within 14 days of a purchase and has been played for less than 2 hours, which essentially means we have a brief window of 2 hours to play a game before being able to issue an automatic refund. Anything outside of this scope will immediately become a manual review, which leads me to the point of this video. Is it possible to complete an entire game within this refund window? Can we beat Fallout 4 while still getting a full Steam refund? Now, to pull this off, we would need to look towards the speedrunning scene of Fallout 4. Now, you're immediately looking at the Fallout 4 any% leaderboard and seeing the world record be a comfortable 35 minutes, which basically answers the question already. Well, not so much. The Fallout 4 any% run uses some very heavy glitches to accomplish its task. You will break out of bounds, run at ridiculous speeds, and essentially break the game. Not really the best for a casual viewing, but also not really fun to run either. Which is why I'm opting today to run my challenge entirely glitchless. We will be following the speedrun.com rules for glitchless speedruns, and this does leave a lot less room for error overall. Also, there's me, 5th place on the leaderboard. My last run of this category was 2 years ago, so yeah, I'm a little rusty. Anyways, I made my new incognito undercover Steam account, aptly named Jabo the Hood, purchased and downloaded Fallout 4, went live to stream the attempt on the 2nd of March, and, oh yeah, I forgot to turn off notifications on Steam. Okay, don't try and add me on Steam, I'm gonna turn off my notification. Anyways, the run was ready to start. The intro cutscene, initial load up, and character creation took up roughly 50 seconds, which immediately set us back on our on-screen splits. However, this was a minor deficit to start with. We then picked our special points, opting for 10 endurance, 10 agility, and 4 charisma. This is purely for a high action point build, allowing us to sprint for longer durations without losing too much time. Every time in this run that I'm not sprinting, I'm essentially losing seconds that could be the difference between getting a refund and not. The 4 charisma was for vendoring, but that's not really super important. Before we get into the wasteland, I'd like to discuss 4 huge hurdles that this run will encounter, 4 potential key moments that could stop our attempt right in its tracks. The first hurdle is that of obtaining a weapon. In any other challenge run, I would simply loot up on goods and sell them off for either the Overseer's Guardian or the Spray and Pray, both very strong weapons that have a huge source of ammunition. These weapons are strong in their own right, and would make any part of this run become a cakewalk, so to speak, but they just take way too long to obtain, leading to me attempting a different route for this run. The second hurdle is actually caused by the previous hurdle, being that of quote-unquote bosses in this run. Whether we're talking about Kellogg, the Corsair in Green Tech, or even Skinny Malone, not having a reliable weapon to fall back to is a bit of a problem, so when I eventually meet these big foes, I'll have to use some sneaky tricks to make sure I don't die and lose too much time. Also, if I don't kill these bosses almost instantly, they can do various things like go invisible that can drag on their respective fights, again, losing us time. The third hurdle is pretty easy to understand. Around halfway through the run, I'll have to construct a teleporter to get into the Institute. For this, I'll need an abundance of resources alongside 2 specific junk items to craft the machinery needed, being that of the military circuit board and the biometric scanner. Hopefully, I'll be able to find these junk items on my way through the Commonwealth, but if I don't, like the other hurdles, they could ruin this run and waste a ton of time. The final hurdle is by far the biggest in my opinion, because we're picking the Institute for this ending, being the fastest ending possible in a glitchless setting. We have to endure possibly the hardest final fight of all the endings possible. The Brotherhood of Steel will throw everything and the kitchen sink at us, so overcoming that literal final moment will be a huge challenge for this venture. Anyways, with that being said, you all know how the introduction goes. Boom, boom. We're now in the year 2287, our wife is dead, and we have a son to find. After clearing Vault 111 of its infestation, we'll grab as much 10mm ammo as we can find and get out as fast as we can. We're already 55 seconds behind pace and have used up almost 1/12 of the allotted refund time. Not a good start. Also, yeah, that is an achievement. We loot up a few bits here and there, grabbing items along our path before clearing out Concord of Raiders and entering the Museum of Freedom. It's inside here we help out Preston Garvey and release the Minutemen from certain doom. We get to the rooftop, rip off the minigun, and yeah, destroy a Deathclaw. The introduction to the game is all the same, and we free the Minutemen early on because not only do we need them for building the teleporter in roughly 45 minutes, but we also don't mind getting the free XP, allowing us to level up both Action Boy and Solar Powered, which are two perks that help with maintaining AP and its refresh rate. Along the route to downtown Boston, we pretty much skip every enemy we encounter and grab as many Quantums as we can. Quantums refresh your action point bar, so they're pretty useful for sprinting too. A few locations grabbed for later use, and a Sea Captain's hat for more endurance, and we are pretty much nearly set. I also grabbed the green shirt and combat boots from the amphitheater, alongside a mini nuke which will become more useful later on, before going to the mass fusion building and solving hurdle number 1. The gunners here will drop a laser pistol, which isn't the strongest weapon in the game, but it does do quite some damage. This is mainly due to how most enemies in Fallout 4 won't have a high energy damage resistance, especially at earlier levels. So this laser pistol is actually a pretty solid find. Also, we will come across an abundance of fusion cells in this run, so ammo will not be an issue, hopefully. Also, I nearly died here, and boy, let me tell you, it won't be the last time that happens. Last up, before we're finishing setting up our character, we head straight into Good Neighbor and purchase the Destroyer's left leg piece, which gives the player an extra 10% movement speed, which is, for obvious reasons, a good purchase. We also kinda stole Cleo's Fat Man and Mini Nuke. I did get caught stealing here, but I was able to get away before anything bad happens. At this point, we're close to 1/4 of the entire playtime available, and we haven't even started the main quest of Fallout 4, so it's down into Park Street Station we go. Park Street Station is filled with some beautiful people known as the Triggermen. These guys have fully automatic submachine guns and can actually kill pretty consistently. It's obviously faster to run past, but that can lead to its own issues. After narrowly surviving and grabbing a few Radaways and Medexes, we venture down further and eventually meet Valentine. It's here we clear out the rest of the Triggermen and eventually encounter our first boss, Skinny Malone. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, he's gonna use the Fat Man, which is where I can say that you're actually wrong. We don't need to waste a mini nuke on this man. Instead, I place a bottle cap mine at his feet and shoot it, making sure not to miss.
I wouldn't be here if it weren't for your two-timing game.
Anyways, we head on back to Diamond City, making sure to loot the mayor for Kellogg's house key before entering the city. Doing the usual, talk to Valentine, break into Kellogg's house, find some clues, recruit Dogmeat, and venture out west to his fort on the hill. Oh, and also I make sure to level up the wrong perks too. Oops, I picked the wrong perk. The journey out west to Fort Hagen was uneventful, but inside is a bunch of simps working under Kellogg's rule. This is our first source of fusion cell ammunition, allowing the laser pistol from earlier to shine as we eventually leave this place with over 250 fusion cells. We also pick up our first major junk item here, being that of the military circuit board, before encountering Kellogg. After finally entering his main room, we negotiate with him for roughly 0.6 seconds before looting his corpse and getting out of dodge. Now, with a steady supply of ammunition, a Fat Man that has proven itself in battle, and one of the key junk items located, it's time to head over to Good Neighbor once again. Luckily, they forgave my past aggressions, and I'm allowed to access the memory den where Dr. Amari will finally let me find the secrets of the Institute. Here I do loot some Radex for the glowing sea and a good amount of junk items before entering the simulation. Honestly, Memory Den is just a long 5-minute cutscene, so let's move on. Once out of the Memory Den, we head out to discover the location of Virgil, an escaped Institute scientist who's more than likely willing to teach us how to build a teleporter which can get us into the Institute. One small problem: he's all the way down here, at the bottom of the glowing sea, which is filled with some scary creatures. So we must plan our adventure very carefully. Yeah, that'll do it. We head straight southwest and pop some Radix the moment we encounter any radiation. Also around this time, I detour off the path ever so slightly to obtain a biometric scanner before entering Virgil's cave, giving us both of the key items needed for the teleporter later on. The conversation with Virgil basically goes as follows. Hey, teach me how to build a teleporter.
Okay, but you need the coordinates first.
Okay, I'll go kill a Corsair. To which I go kill a Corsair. A Corsair is an Institute synth of a very high caliber that is handcrafted purely for combat. They're essentially a one-man army that are described as pretty much indestructible. Add on top of that the location of green tech genetics, which is filled to the brim with gunners and explosions and turrets. Yeah, this area is a big challenge for us. I then subsequently run through the entire area, ignoring everyone except this one gunner who has a missile launcher, which will be needed for later on, before reaching the top and, well, yeah, you get the picture. There's also a mini nuke I loot here before taking the Corsair chip. At this point, we're roughly halfway through the allotted speedrun time, and honestly, things are starting to go really well. We have a solid weapon, good armor, main quest progression, and a huge time lead over my PB. Surely, things will stay positive for the rest of this run. Well, either way, we then head on over to the Railroad to join them as a deciding faction in this run. See, the Railroad are really underappreciated in Fallout 4. I personally believe they're a faction. It's much faster to decode the Corsair chip yourself. With the Railroad out of the picture, we head back to Virgil for the last time, getting our teleporter schematics before looting his mini nuke and never returning. We are 1 hour and 9 minutes into the run, and only now can we finally pick a deciding faction. I decide to work with the Minutemen for now, as they're easy to work with, but we'll betray them later on for the Institute. Like I mentioned before, the Institute is the fastest ending possible, but we can't side with them yet because we haven't teleported to them. So for now, we're just going to use the Minutemen as they have a very low bar of acceptance into their faction. Oh, what is that bar of acceptance? Well, all you have to do is help out one settlement before being inducted into their ranks. After murdering a married couple at 10 Pines Bluff, we head on back and deliver the bad news before constructing our teleporter once and for all. With the military circuit board and biometric scanner acquired from before, amongst the other general junk picked up throughout the run, we were finally able to construct the teleporter and its associated machinery without any issues whatsoever. And honestly, I was pretty chuffed. At this point, we were roughly 4 minutes ahead of my personal best, putting me 3 minutes under the current 2-hour mark. As long as nothing went wrong and I didn't jinx the run, we were coasting home for a solid, successful first attempt. That actually went well. We actually had a good teleportation split. That is a... Hello? Wait. Excuse me? Okay. Ah, fuck. Oh my god. I spoke too soon. I jinxed the run. This was a huge time loss. I had to reload back all the way to before I constructed the teleporter, losing me roughly 3 minutes and 10 seconds, putting me in the danger zone of losing this run. My hopes were down. This run might be dead. This run actually might be dead. With the difficult combat sections and rough finale coming up, there was no room for error, so I put my foot down and focused as much as I could. After successfully getting into the elevator and meeting the entirety of the Institute, it was time to start doing their quest lines. Our first job was to liberate a rogue Institute synth who had left to join a band of raiders. After carefully maneuvering around the infested raider land of Libertalia, I was able to scale the side of this rundown ship before reaching the top and saving our fellow robot friend. Then it was time to complete the quest, the Battle of Bunker Hill, which actually can be completed by simply stabbing our Institute escort in the back. Here we were supposed to infiltrate Bunker Hill and retake it from the railroad, but instead we can just murder our associate and ditch Bunker Hill completely, heading straight back to the CIT to speak with Sean. He's not very pleased with us, but allows us to continue, which saves a lot of time and a lot of ammunition, which is crucial for the end of this run. Also, there's another mini-nuke inside of this building. Whilst talking to Sean, I started to see a bit of time loss once again. The cushion I developed after so long was going away. We only had 30 seconds of time to spare. Next up was Mass Fusion, which is where we actually encounter some of the hardest enemies in this entire challenge. However, our first problem is getting off the Mass Fusion rooftop. See, as part of the quest itself, we're teleported to the top of Mass Fusion with Dr. Fillmore. Here we could take the elevator down and engage in some rigorous combat, or we could do this. By jumping off the roof of Mass Fusion and landing in Good Neighbor below, the game is forced to warp us to the front of Good Neighbor as the interior cell is still not loaded. This is used to skip the majority of combat within Mass Fusion, but we're not done yet. We need to acquire the beryllium agitator in the basement of the building. Doing so releases a Soul Sentry bot and 2 Assaultrons, but with the extra mini-nukes we've acquired throughout this run, they are simply just no issue. The next 2 quests are fairly easy. We deal with Wallace, an escaped scientist, by convincing him to return to the Institute, and also head off to Diamond City to repair the radio there, delivering our final demands to the Commonwealth. With that all done, we refuel up the Institute reactor with the beryllium agitator from Mass Fusion, and head on over to the final confrontation of the run. At this point, we're a total of 2 minutes ahead, giving us a 1-minute cushion to finish the run and exit the game. But if I do die during the ending section or mess up any of the key points, I could lose up to 3 minutes. So this one was going to be close. With 8 minutes left on the clock, it was do or die. It was now or never. The Brotherhood of Steel, our primary target, are bunkered down at the Boston airport. They have power armor, vertibirds, and turrets alike. Tons of ammo, tons of weapons, and we must infiltrate and destroy from within. Our plan? Install a virus on Liberty Prime, allowing us to use his weapons to destroy the Brotherhood of Steel's blimp. But before all of that, we must destroy 3 generators. The first 2 generators are destroyed with simple gunfire, and the third, atop this tiny tower, is removed by a missile shot from down below. This precise shot can be a coin toss, and the fact that I got this very first try was enough to give me hope that we had enough luck and skill to finish this off. Please hit, 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 please hit. Yes! One well-placed Fatman shot to Ingram, and Prime was ours. Our next task was to defend it, however. The virus implanted, the enemies encountered, and the stakes are higher than they've ever been before. Time was ticking away, and we successfully held off the swarming approach of the Brotherhood. After a long fight, the virus eventually took over Prime, and we ditched out of the area as fast as we could. This was it. I teleported back to the Institute where Sean was laying ready to die. 1 precise shot later, and that was it. That was time. 1 hour, 57 minutes, and 26 seconds. A challenge I can proudly say we finished in 1 attempt. The official Steam player time, 117 minutes, putting us comfortably within the automatic 2-hour range. Honestly, I couldn't believe how clutch the end of this run was. We managed to save so much time after that one major mishap at the teleporting section. So yeah, we did pretty good to get this under 2 hours. After filing a Steam Refund request and waiting an entire day, it finally arrived like gold in the mail. My official refund of Fallout 4, proving that yes, you can complete Fallout 4 and still get a full Steam refund. Now, 2 small things to note here before I end the video. 1, do not try this at all. You will not succeed. I've ran Fallout 4 on and off for over 3 years now, and I'm pretty well acquainted with the run itself. If you try this as someone who hasn't ran the game, you're most likely going to fail and lose your money. And point number 2, subscribe to the channel. It lets me see which content you guys like, and lets you guys know when a video goes live. Also, the full VOD is in this second channel down below if you guys want to watch it. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time, and goodbye.